What's going on, Assassins? It's Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin, and today we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, this game, it really was not that bad. It was not really well received. People were giving it anywhere from like a 6 out of 10 all the way to the most generous I believe I've seen was an 8.5 out of 10. And the reason for that, primarily, a lot of people were not impressed with it. It just came off of the heels of Unity. It didn't sell well initially, and that was because of Unity. Unity was a buggy mess, and people just were leery of Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed brand. And that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen right now with the next game in the entry. We already know that Valhalla is a completely buggy mess. To some people, it's even unplayable, and regardless of how excellent the next game in the series may be, even if it's just 10 out of 10, I don't think a lot of people will be buying it initially. They'll be waiting to see reviewers, review scores, and YouTubers actually playing through. That's what a lot of people are going to wait for. Nobody's going to want to waste their money on it, especially after the rough time we're having with Valhalla. Anyway, as far as Syndicate goes, it really wasn't that bad of a game. I think the controls were really wonky. It was kind of hard to distinguish like what you were doing and how you wanted to move. They kind of got rid of the fluidity of previous games where you've got like kind of like that one touch. They kind of switched it around. You got like all this extra combo, and counter attacks were weird. Throws were weird, defense breaking was weird, and at least for me, a lot of the controls didn't jive. I really wasn't happy with it, but you know, that wasn't a game killer right there, honestly. It really was a pain with the controls, though. Other than that, there were some weird lighting effects here, like as you can see, as I'm playing through the game, it just has this weird strobe effect. And again, that's not a game breaker. It didn't kill the game. It didn't kill the experience for me. For some people, that may kill the immersion, or it may just get too much, especially if you're photosensitive. That's just, you know, a deal breaker right there, obviously. But overall, again, the game concept wasn't bad. The controls, you know, they had some things to be desired. But there was a lot of fun to be had. Another bone of contention for reviewers were the carriages. I myself didn't really like the carriages at all. I didn't like the way that they felt. I didn't like the way that they moved. And then, of course, you got to remember that this is supposed to be taking place in London. You got to drive opposite what us Yanks drive in the United States. We had to drive on the correct side, according to the rest of the world, while we drive on the complete wrong side. But again, this wasn't a deal breaker. This wasn't something that really messed up the experience for me. There were missions that involved this. I really didn't care for those missions, but I still completed them. Again, it's not that bad. You just have to get used to the controls. This is definitely a game that you cannot play other Assassin's Creed games or kind of other games at the same time unless you're trying to get every trophy and achievement for this one, or even just get through the game. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. The controls, they may need remapping for some people. For me, it definitely needed remapping. The plot actually follows two assassins, twins, Jacob and Evie Fry, and they're, again, in London. They're trying to liberate it. They've got a gang that they're calling the Rooks, and they're taking over London. It's actually a pretty decent plot. There's a lot of the famous assassinations that we're used to. You start off, obviously, with the Hidden Blade. You go, you assassinate, air assassinate, ledge assassinations, all kinds of stuff like that. And then you get the general screens that we always get whenever we assassinate somebody, where they have their monologue as to why the Templars are correct. Again, this was a Templar thing. It was the very last thing that we see before they took the new direction. This is the last Assassin's Creed in this style. After this one, obviously, came Origins, and that one had the obvious RPG elements, or action RPG. Another thing that this game did was this very strange skill tree in which you had to go and obtain XP, gain skill points, and put those points into different items or different areas to kind of help you progress. You could also switch between Evie and Jacob and just back and forth on the fly. You could also kind of make each one either completely identical or a different type of assassin. You could do certain builds between them where one would have one certain set of skills, the other one would have a different set of skills, and you just had to know when to use them. It was actually pretty cool. It did also have other progression logs, things of that nature. Of course, it had the online Helix store, which they try to sell you all kinds of things and whatnot. You were actually able to go and get other gear, other items you could craft. That was another weird thing in this game. The crafting, uh, really didn't get a handle on crafting. I just understood that you grabbed certain things from certain treasure chests and you were able to use them. And craft certain things, buy certain things, upgrade certain things, even though there were also stores around here, which was pretty wild. Now, the action was really kind of wild. There was a lot of crazy things that you did in this game. It really was acrobatic. There was a lot of parkour. And I really did enjoy a lot of these things with the train. I don't know why. It seemed pretty awesome to me that you could fight on top of a train as it's moving and throw people off and whatnot. You know, kind of assassin-y fun, which I thought was pretty cool. Other than that, there really was no highlights. This game didn't do anything really spectacularly. It was kind of bland. The story was good. The story at least had something going for it. And the concept of being able to change between the two assassins on the fly in order to do certain things or even build their skills a certain way as opposed to the other one really brought some strategy to the game. So it was actually a lot of fun. It made a lot of sense that they would do something like that, that even though they're twins, they would kind of make it so that you had the choice where you could make them completely different. So overall, the game was a lot of fun. Now, I don't know why towards the end of the cycle people weren't playing this game or enjoying this game. Normally, what a lot of critics say, at least player critics, will tell you that Rogue, Unity, and Syndicate sucked and that that was going to be the death of the series, Syndicate. And after Syndicate, honestly, they took a hiatus and then they came back with Origins, which, like I've said previously, it really did revitalize the series. It advanced the series. It brought new blood to it. Now, some fans thought that this game was absolutely fine. The worst I ever heard was the controls, and everything else, it wasn't that hard. It was a little convoluted in the beginning to kind of understand the skill trees, the fact that you could change it between the twins, and the fact that like you had to upgrade certain gear, which you really did. You would advance a level, and you really should upgrade your gear along with that level. They did have a lot of legacy items, which was pretty cool. Seeing Xiao Jun's outfit on Evie, or seeing Edward Kenway's outfit on Jacob, those things were actually kind of cool. It's always nice to see them call back to like the older Assassin's Creeds, which I fully endorse. I love that. But if you really look at like the hard critics, they didn't like the plot, they didn't like the story. The controls is always number one on the complaint list. The fact that it was kind of weird the way that they did the new system with the skills and advancing in points and everything, going kind of RPG. Some people really were not happy with that. They had preferred what we were used to, what we got with Altair, Ezio, Connor, and going forward, everything kind of changed little by little up until we get to Origins. So, as far as this game goes, as far as Syndicate goes, some people, they really do agree that it wasn't a good game. Me personally, again, I thought it was a good game. I thought it was a good plot. It was kind of cool seeing certain scenes like, You'd have gang fights. It looked like Gangs of New York, that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, if you've ever seen that. And there were a lot of wild moments here, a lot of humor. I really did enjoy the twins. They were great characters, and the action was pretty good. The puzzles sometimes were kind of weird. When you went to go do certain things, you went to go get certain uh, like helix fragments and whatnot. That was kind of weird. The lootables, helix fragments, again, that's just there to extend the life of the game, I feel like. The treasure chests that were all around, they gave some value. Obviously, you needed materials and money, and there were other lootables or collectibles that you had all around that really gave something to the game. But for the most part, like a lot of these collectibles, they make no sense. And again, that's not a deal breaker at all. It's really not. It extends the life of the game, lets you play a little bit longer, gives you something to achieve, like get 100% completion. Although I would have liked to see them do something else with collectibles, honestly. Other than that, the game, as I've said before, perfect. But I want to know in the comments below, what do you think? Have you ever played Assassin's Creed Syndicate? What did you think of it? Did you like the location? Did you think that it was weird? Do you think that they should have done something else? Is it on your list to play? Would you play it if you haven't? Or is it something that you absolutely refuse to play? It's just a complete game breaker for you. It's a deal breaker. You don't even want it as part of the series. I'd love to hear your comments. Other than that, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you like and you subscribe. That way you never miss any content as it comes out. Until next time, take care, be good, stay safe, take care of each other. I'll see you all in the next one.